is your When Do the Hated Become Sympathetic Leader Fan Radio Network.
What do you mean?
And KFAN.com. I should have probably parenthetically added if ever. On an absolutely spring-like, almost summer-like, calm before the first of two tsunamis still scheduled for later this week, Monday, here in the Twin Cities, that we affectionately refer to as Minneapolis and St. Louis Park. My name is Dan Barreiro, speaking to you from St. Louis Park, host of the program, former Ink Stain Wretch, newspaper of the Twin Cities. Guardsy produces the show. He is back from his Sacramento sojourn. Did you stay for the Elite Eight round, or did you leave as soon as the Gopher Club was vanquished?
We left. What day did they play?
Yeah, you were
Friday?
with the team, right? So you probably didn't have an option even if you wanted to stay.
We left on Saturday.
Yeah.
Got home Saturday afternoon, so the day after the game.
Well, it's good to have you back, and it's good to be, like I said, with the Rubes today via the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line at 64686. We've got a power-packed broadcast. The uglydeck.com guest lineup is outstanding today. We'll give you details on all of that as well, forthwith, as we like to say in the business. When do the hated become sympathetic, if ever? Because I think you probably have to add that clause. Because the when would indicate that at some point the hated can become sympathetic. But there may be people who say not possible, depending, Dan, on who and what you are referring to. In this case, I am referring to the Duke Blue Devils, a team that has been routinely despised, a program that's been routinely despised. Now, that mainly seemed to come under the Coach K umbrella.
Sure.
But old habits die hard. Hate is a mighty strong word, but it is hard for people to get off it if for years they have felt obligated, because I think for a lot of people they feel obligated to hate Duke more than they actually do hate Duke. And so just because you got a new coach, what's his name now? Shire?
John Shire.
John Shire, 4 years in?
I think so, yeah.
And I think you'd have to say overall, you know, we had the cliche the other day about you don't want to be the coach who succeeds a legend. He's done okay succeeding a legend, because usually the first guy is just it's inevitable he's going to struggle and get fired, and then you want to be the guy who replaces the guy who replaced the legend, right?
The next North Carolina coach, for example,
Yes.
after Hubert Davis,
That's true,
got fired here within the last week.
That's exactly right.
But to answer your question, he's done a phenomenal job.
He's done very well.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with that. But, and I don't know if people break out in hives just listening to him the way they tended to on Coach K, but there's still hatred. Does any of it get dissipated when Duke does what they did in fairly dramatic fashion in the final Elite game of the week, Elite Eight weekend, game of the weekend, I should say, correct? They blow I think at one point, a 19-point lead to not exactly Cinderella, UConn. They're a 2 seed, I think. But nevertheless, you got a 19-point lead. You got double-digit lead well into the second half, I think with like even under 10 minutes to go. And you lose, Duke does, 73-72 on a dramatic 35-foot three-point shot with 0.4 seconds to play. Braylon Mullins, I know you'll love this nugget. You probably already know it. You know where he grew up?
Indiana.
Outside of Indianapolis.
Great place to grow up.
Just outside of Indianapolis.
And he's taking him home.
Indiana. And, you know, we shouldn't leave out, he stole the ball, right? There were two players double teaming.
Yep.
Which Boozer was it? Caden?
Yeah, the Boozers.
But it was Mullins who stole it, right?
Tracked it down,
I guess I should say. He gets the ball, and it ends up back in his hands after a very unselfish pass, because it was the right play, because Mullins was more open. He hits the three. And it's about as stunning a choke under those conditions for a proud program as you can get. They lose 73-72. So if you lose in that fashion, do the people who hate you have a little bit of compassion, a little bit of sympathy, or do they actually revel in it to a degree that my hatred has been rewarded by a delicious, you can't make it up way to lose to go along with all the other less dramatic ways to lose. And so, no, I'm doubling and tripling down on my hatred. I have no sympathy. I don't feel they're any more human. I don't feel like they're any more less hate-worthy. For the average I hate Duke fan out there, where are they on this, do you think?
The latter.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they are reveling. I think they are enjoying the fact.
I love getting down on them, but man, that's got to be a tough way to lose.
For the average Duke hater, I don't think so. Now, the Boozer's getting credit for how he's handled the whole situation.
What'd he do?
Just talking about, I've cost my team the season.
Yeah,
I wish I would have just held it.
Accountability, the whole bit.
I'm surprised Johnny Athletic didn't tweet about it, but he faced the music and faced the media after a very difficult loss. I'm surprised that John Athletic didn't make note of that, given his history.
Yes.
So he's getting, I think, some sympathy, empathy, whatever you want to call it. The Duke brand in general, I have seen very little of that. I've seen very little.
Are there any examples that people can come up with via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line that says, this actually did, I hated so-and-so, or I hated this team, but I actually did feel a little sorry for them under those circumstances?
I'd have to think about
Booth
it for
at KFAN.com is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, which I'm trying to reboot as we speak. Because I got to believe there might be, well, sadly, my guess is what people are going to come up with is death.
Right.
Which is sad, but somebody died on the team, and I did feel kind of bad about that. That's kind of tragic, But I'm guessing short of death. Who said it? Which assistant said it? Former Gopher assistant. Hate's a mighty strong word.
Tracy Clays.
But I
want that damn axe.
It's powerful for people. A lot of people they pretend. That's not I never use that word, or I don't believe in that. And then you find out, well, yeah, they do. They just don't want to. They're performative in pretending that they're different from anybody else in that regard. So, if you have any examples of any, and if you are a Duke hater, which is it? Because I tend to think like you that it's this is as good a day for Duke haters as you could possibly get.
I know one thing. I want that damn act.
There it is.
Didn't have hate though.
Yeah, that's okay.
I just played it
well, it's context. It's context to it. I know it's there somewhere because you've played it a bunch of times.
I know.
It's got to be there. We'll find it for sure. It's one of many questions I would like to ask today and be answered today of many different, largely toy department topics. That's the first one. Another one I want us to spend a lot of time on is of the two winter sports pro teams, which is closer in your mind to DEFCON 1 for concern heading into the postseason? Is it the Timberwolves, who, by the way, confirmed another injury update that seems to suggest Jaden McDaniels isn't going to come back for a while? It's the old week-to-week evaluation. Now,
There's only 2 weeks left in the season.
That's true. And I believe we got 8 games left and 6 on the road, and you can give up catching Denver. We're 2 behind Denver, which means we're 3 behind Denver, right? If that matters to you. And I know we're cocky about we can always beat Denver, which has suddenly won 6 in a row, by the way. They've been very up and down this year. They don't guard, but we'll get to that later. I want that question answered. Which of the 2 winter sports teams in free fall, relatively speaking right now, are you concerned about the most? Because they're both making the postseason. Maybe you'll say neither. Maybe you'll say this is nonsense. This is just regular season obsessing that will go away. We just need the postseason for both teams to start. One other question. Yesterday, the Twins played where? In Baltimore, correct?
Yes.
It was the final game of a 3-game series. Is that correct?
Yes. They finally scored some runs.
The first game we won. No, the first game we lost.
Right.
Second game we won. That means the third game represented what's called the rubber game of the series. Here's what I want to know. We've all grown up with that term. Why is that the rubber game? Why is the decisive game known as the rubber game of the series. How did that start? Do you know?
I don't. I always just went with it.
Me too. So that's a third question that I'm hoping to get. That might be the easiest to answer historically, but it's a Monday program filled with questions. That's the objective today. We've already thrown out 3, and we will throw out a few more before this program wraps up. Let's get our first break in now. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is open at 64686. As I said, don't forget to get your supplies. It may feel like 72 degrees today, but 2 tsunamis, Thursday and Saturday, are coming in. You might want to get ahead of it.
KFAN welcomes some great shows to Grand Casino Arena in the next year, including Lionel Richie with Earth, Wind, and Fire on June 24th, and tickets are on sale now. Get the complete details on all the upcoming shows on the concert page at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
All right, we are indeed back. I mentioned, I didn't mention the guest lineup. I just said we had them. UglyDeck.com guest lineup will include Alec Lewis from the NFL owners meetings in, is it Phoenix?
Yes.
That's at 5:30 today. John Athletic will join at 4:02 this afternoon from Dallas, right? Dayline Dallas.
He's on
tracking the return of Anthony Edwards, the Wolves taking on the Mavericks. Speaking of Duke, is there star Dookie? Is he back yet? I don't even know. I mean, I've paid no attention. Cooper Flagg to the Mavericks lately.
I don't either. Let me check.
Or did they shut him down? We'll find out for sure. By the way, I've got a couple texts on this. I had not been checking X today because it's been a busy morning and afternoon for me. But let me clear up what sounds like the great microwave coffee controversy. I plead 100% guilty. Here's what happened on sermons. I had a cold foo-foo latte, okay? And ordinarily, the way the microwave works, if you put it on reheat, it will, at least the microwave I was used to, it will shut off on its own before it, explodes.
Oh.
Right? So I did that before the first segment of sermons. Well, this particular microwave didn't stop. So when I opened the door, latte was everywhere. It was a complete dogs and cats living. It was just a complete disaster. Okay. Well, I started the cleanup. I couldn't find toweling. I found some napkins, but I didn't complete it. No! 100% true. Intending at the end of the show to say, well, I got to finish the cleanup. I got the guts of the coffee out, but it's still there's still some remnants of it. There's still a cup. And by the way, as I say, I don't think I covered my tracks very well because I think on the side of the cup it said Dan. So it wasn't me really trying to get away with anything. It was me literally trying to rush out of here to do a couple other things and forgetting. So yes, I raise my hand. I take full responsibility, full accountability.
Full
and I don't know what else you want. Yeah, I mean, I could bring in a bunch of coffee for people, or I could go on cleanup detail.
Maybe buy a
every
new
day
microwave
with a microwave or something. Yeah. Well, I think it still works. I hope. But yeah. So because apparently this came up earlier in the day, somewhere people were trying to figure out what the hell happened to it. That's it. 100% me. I'm not running from it, shall we say? And as I said, it's what I did was a partial cleanup with the intent. Well, there's not a lot of time in during the show. Our breaks are relatively tight, 4 to 5 minutes. So I'll start getting the slop out of there when I can, and then I will come back, get rid of the cup, get rid of the evidence that I did it at least, and then also try to continue the cleanup as well. I wish there would be more to the story because I know it's not very controversial that way, but that's pretty much the truth of it. I'm a huge Packer fan, but was at both Vikings games where they lost due to choking on field goals. 98 in the cold game at the Gopher Stadium where the kicker badly missed a chip shot to lose to Seattle. I did feel a little bad for the Purple. I mean, I wanted them to lose, but both times it felt a little like Lucy pulling the ball away from Charlie Brown. You got to feel a little sorry for the losing side in a game like that. Now, that's a sports fan with unusual compassion because I'm guessing most Packer fans would say, oh, my God, no.
Right.
That made it even more delicious. Same as the way Duke ends up blowing a 19-point lead.
I know how I feel when the Packers lose in cataclysmic fashion.
Yes.
Like they just did to your Bears this past postseason.
And you reveled in it?
I absolutely reveled in it, yes.
Traditionally, I've been a Duke hater, right? 612 guy. However, since Coach K retired, my mind has not yet created an identity for the current Duke program. Until they've reestablished the dominance they've had, I don't think of them quite the same way. That said, UConn's coach seems like he might be one of the top 10 most obnoxious people on the planet. I was greatly enjoying him berate the refs on the sideline when Duke was up by 20 and nothing was working for UConn.
Yeah.
Like the Wolves game last week, I turned it off before it was over, assuming one outcome, only to be shocked the other had indeed happened. That's a great point. What if you hate the other guy as much or close to it, maybe not for the same reasons, but because, which Hurley is this one? Danny Hurley has reached a point of borderline absurdity when it comes to sideline demeanor involving refs, correct?
It's interesting how, depending on the time of year and maybe opponent, people are discussing his behavior.
Yes.
Remember when he had the absolute meltdown in Maui, when I think they lost 3 games in a row, and he was yelling at the refs and calling himself the best coach in the game, come over and talk to me. He was a complete child. But now that's kind of even changed with people. They're going, well,
yeah,
he's a little over the top sometimes, but...
Was that because of the amount of winning?
Could be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's a good reason, but...
Or maybe we just don't... I don't know what the reason is, but it's just been interesting to monitor what we think is okay from him as opposed to some others.
I love the irony of that kind of shot happening against Christian Leitner's alma mater. I could see him walking through the locker room going, loser, loser, loser. It's called the rubber game because it could bounce either way. So several people are saying that's what that term comes from. Rubber game comes from the 16th century lawn bowling.
Right.
Where one team would rub out the other one. Another slightly different note, on a slightly different note, Minnesota born and bred, now living in North Carolina, in the middle of North Carolina, NC State, Duke, Wake Forest, and others. For me, it's the time to rejoice because they're all gone. I guess he doesn't like any of them. Rubber game comes from bridge. You need to take 2 games, and when it's tied 1-1, you play the last game for the rubber. That sounds more persuasive to me. That's Matt in Roseville. Is that what you're picking up?
That is what, yes. Now, lawn bowling is part of it, but it traces back to the 16th century English game of lawn bowling, right? You said that already. Right. They've got the rub out part. You mentioned that already. It's kind of both in terms of the synopsis that I'm finding here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, both. Hurley is the new jackass worthy of hate. So that is where it gets a little more compelling. Hate against hate, where may even be different reasons, or you might not have hated Hurley for as long as you hated the Duke brand, but I guess you could say it's all the same thing. I'm going back through the text. They're like 20 microwave related. And honestly, until I got in here, people think, well, I know you know people. I honestly, I can swear on a Bible. I did not know there was any conversation about it, but I'm not running from it. So do we need a new microwave? I'll buy a new microwave. Is it dead? Is that the accusation beyond this being a mess? Is it no longer functioning?
Well, here's what I'll say. I had no idea about any of this until you brought it up.
Yeah, and I didn't, but like I said, I only learned it via the text line. I don't know. I mean, I love that people live and die with our radio station and they listen all day. It doesn't mean all of us who work here have to either. So no, but there's no, did they want me to deny it? Is that a better story so that then I could be accused of lying and not taking full
I just pulled up the text line. My favorite is you shouldn't be apologizing. You should be saying you're welcome to Common for giving him 2 hours today. That's what you should say, according to at least one texter.
Oh my God.
You should be saying you're welcome.
Yeah. There's nothing more ominous to it than that. That's pretty much all I can tell you. Dan, I very much dislike Duke. I am singing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. I'm taking a page out of the Democrats' playbook, Dan, not addressing the microwave controversy.
Political.
I guess it's. Who knew it'd be political? Caden Boozer made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. Time, score, and possession. The most important thing in the game. 10 seconds left. There wasn't going to be a 10-second violation. They should all know this, and Shire more than likely communicated this to them. Caden either heard this and completely freaked out or didn't hear it at all. All he has to do is hold the ball, and he gets fouled. It's like watching Green Bay versus Dallas. Who cares what the microwave controversy? Yeah, so he did 2 hours on this? Or
according to the text line.
Well, then that's exactly it. He should be thanking me for sure. You have been implicated in a very Curb Your Enthusiasm-esque crime. To me, that's another one microwave related.
And it clearly struck a nerve.
Yeah, it obviously did. I just want to thank Dan for finally breaking out the Minneapolis and St. Louis Park intro. It's been too long. I'm not from here, but I listen for it every episode for whatever reason, LOL. And he hasn't done it in forever that I've heard. It's a small, stupid thing, but I cheered when he said it, when it was said today. That's what I try to do. It's exactly what I try to do. I try to give the masses precisely what you want. Clean the microwave, Dan. What the hell? Do the right thing and open with a confession and an apology. Glad you had the ice cream. Your blood sugar seemed low because you were repeating. Oh, no, that's common. Oh, we're at 253. So this goes back to common, apparently. I haven't heard any. Well, I guess people have come up with a couple of examples of where they felt a little sorry for a team they hated. But if there are more, keep those texts coming via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686. Did you see Mark Rosen's cat Willow, his tweet?
No.
Check out his tweet from about 1 hour ago that reads, "It was Barreiro in the break room with a coffee cup." And I don't know how he did it, but he found a way to do it. But was there really that much detective work involved? I think, like I said, I don't think I threw away the cup because I was going to go back, and I think it said Dan on it. Although I guess it's possible it didn't.
That would point in one direction.
How much detection would you need?
Not much.
Because I'm on Sunday. Well, I guess you could have said there was a 1 hour edition of Worst Case Scenario.
Do they have a Dan? I don't think they have a Dan.
No, but again, I'm not 100% sure the cup said Dan. I think it did. I'm sure that was part of Hercule Poirot's detecting that he did between noon and 3 o'clock. That's for sure. Spilling 12 ounces of coffee. Well, first of all, let me just quickly say that if that's being alleged, that's a bit of an exaggeration because most of the coffee had been sopped up. To scattering a dozen. He equates it to scattering a dozen hits and leaving a mess with the bases loaded for the next pitcher. Thank you for the full pelf is what Clayton indeed says. All right, let's keep on schedule. We'll make this the bottom of the hour break. John Athletic from Dallas. The news discouraging for the Wolves. They get killed by Detroit the other day. And they also, we get an update on another injury, making it seem as if that Jaden is not going to be back anytime real soon, right? They've upped his injury after, I believe, was it an MRI? Some sort of resonance testing kind of a thing. Anthony Edwards, on the good side, is scheduled back tonight. That's why our 402 guest, John Athletic, is zipping or has already zipped into Dallas, Texas. The other question on the table, and I'm curious that which way you go on this. Which of the winter sports teams heading to the playoffs are you more worried about right now? You can say neither. You can say both, although I'd rather you take a stand on one concerning you a little more than the other. I don't feel great about either one of them, but I do have an opinion on which I'm more concerned with at this given situation. So let's get a quick pause in. We'll come back and get to more text and more controversy when we return. said there was a Dan on Fan Outdoors this weekend. I could try to throw somebody else under the bus, but I think it's too late for that. Right?
You're already on record. You're already fessing up.
Dan, the worst thing about the microwave kerfuffle is you do not get to enjoy your latte. That's true. It was good. It literally...
I think you're the victim here.
It literally spilled everywhere. You left Common under nutrition. He couldn't warm his lunch because of the microwave. This was the crux of it. Well, if you look around a little bit, there's another microwave just in the other, basically opposite your cubicle.
Yeah, we have another
There's
one.
a microwave right there. I mean, it's just look around and open your eyes a little bit. Wouldn't be that difficult to, but I get it. There's no fun in that. Anything to fill the program. So who are you more worried about right now? If either. If you want to say neither, we're just meandering a little bit because it's the nature of the marathon of a regular season.
Well, it's kind of neither, but also both. Like, I have big concerns about both of them. If I had to pick, sadly, I think it would be my Minnesota Timberwolves.
Really?
I think it would be my Wolves. It just something doesn't feel right. Now, are they just, especially with these injuries, being cautious and biding their time and just letting everybody get healthy for the stretch run? And obviously the playoffs that start in a couple of weeks. I just feel like they're not going to be able to pull it off like they have the last couple of years. And when I say pull it off, last year they kind of pulled it off. 2 years ago, they were a great team. Right. The first Western Conference Finals team, they were the number one seed the whole year until Carl got hurt. They lost some games. They ended up with the 3 seed. We know what happened in Denver. Like, that was a legit squad. Last year, they kind of meandered and had a great first-round series, got some help in the second round. Like, they had to pull something last year, I felt like. I don't know if they can pull it off like they did last year, where 2 years ago they were outstanding pretty much from start to finish.
I can't argue with any of your thinking. I still think I lean more worried about the hockey team for 2 reasons. One is the unavoidable fact that this group, as a group, has 0 postseason track record. That doesn't mean you can't make a big jump, but it's just not there to fall back on in a way that I still do kind of cling to with the Wolves, even if I pretty strongly agree with a lot of the concerns that you just mentioned. Maybe I'll put it this way. I think I would be more surprised still if the Wolves didn't get out of at least round 1 than if the Wild don't get out of round 1. And some of that might have to do with who each team would be playing, it appears. Although right now it looks like it's going to be Denver.
It does look like that. And
Denver, I've been bad-mouthing late, like for much of the season. But remember, they've won 6 in a row, and they have legitimate excuses regarding injuries.
Yes.
That we have not had, which is why it's kind of silly for us to try to raise that flag at this late date. I still think, and here's the other thing I worry about with the Wild. Our offensive numbers are through the roof since getting Quinnesota, correct?
Yeah.
But our defensive numbers aren't as good. And that doesn't mean I'm putting it all on him. But I do have a little bit of that nagging concern that we got a little too crazy with our explosiveness and then maybe went away from the solid defensive core of, on most nights, what we were doing when we were winning. So I worry about that, getting that back, whatever that balance is that you're looking for between offense and defense. And I've sort of let the Wild off the hook about, well, really, their positioning is kind of locked in. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, if they had been playing better, including that stretch, did we lose 3 or 4 at home to non-playoff teams? We could probably still be threatening to catch Dallas for at least home ice, right?
Yes.
So maybe I've been a little too easy. So, well, what do they really have to play for at this point? Well, that became a little self-fulfilling in part because since the Olympic break, we're basically a 500 team. And that's now an extended number of games, right?
Yeah.
That's not 5 games. That's 8 games anymore.
Olympics were a while ago.
I think I lean I still lean Wild, even if there's a lot of alarm bells that are worth discussing related to the Minnesota Timberwolves for sure. I'd be curious to get John's. Well, I know what Johnny's position is going to be.
Yeah, right.
He's going to feel. I mean, he's never going to give the Wild any credit, whether they deserve it or not. Correct.
Correct.
That's kind of the bit that he has to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the injury thing with the Wolves worries me a little bit moving forward here. Jade McDaniels is an important piece.
Undeniable.
And that can take you off the hook now. It does not excuse what we've talked about for months.
No, but it can affect what you can do in the first round of the playoffs if he's not right.
Big
You're
time.
Right. Yeah.
Big time. He's a huge piece of it.
And where are we? Is DeSumo scheduled back?
He has been upgraded to back in, I believe, today.
Okay, he is. Okay.
Yeah, Ant was still questionable, but then everybody expects him to play. Or
right.
Maybe I have that reversed. But I'm pretty sure Io is getting ready to play.
Yeah. And, I guess you could still even worry a little bit about Edwards, even though he's back. I mean, and has tended to be pretty resilient, physically speaking. Does he have one of those chronic situations now that might rear their heads? And I believe, here's the other thing. I believe in our 8 games left, I think we've got a pair of road back-to-backs left, which also doesn't help the injury situation. If you're trying to be cautious on Edwards and maybe it affect how quickly Jaden might be able to come back as well. So
we play Detroit and Philly back-to-back Thursday and Friday. Yeah. We play Indiana and Orlando back-to-back next Tuesday and Wednesday.
The worry, I think there's legitimate worries with both teams, but they just might be different worries. You could be down on the Wolves, not necessarily because you don't think they have it in them, if they have everybody, even in a year where they've been kind of inconsistent, but that if they don't have everybody, that pretty much makes their situation worrisome.
Yeah.
In the case of the Wild, I think it'd be more like, well, what do they really got? They don't. The feel isn't real good right now. From Bill Guerin on down, in terms of the way they're playing, Kaprizov's not playing great.
Right.
So it's more that on their side. Then, well, they're not even going to have their whole team. The Wolves, for the first time, run the risk of not even having their whole team, or not their whole team at 100%. And whoever you're playing. And again, they're pretty much, I guess I haven't looked at where Houston is. Houston's 6 right now, I assume?
Yes.
What's the gap between us and Houston?
I believe there isn't any.
Okay, well,
we have the same record, but we have
so
the
I guess it's possible we could fall all the way to 6. And then you're talking about likely, I don't think Denver can catch the Lakers either. The Lakers have a bit of a gap, don't they, of 2 games on the Lakers?
They have 2 games in the loss column.
Okay.
And 2 games in hand, I believe. Yeah, because Denver's played a couple of more games than them.
Dan, it'll be quick first-round exits for both teams. Ooh, that'd be a downer.
With that attitude.
That would be a downer, would it not?
No seasonal boost.
Did you see Danny Hurley headbutt a ref after UConn hit the winning 3?
Yeah.
What is wrong with him? That's Marty in Richfield. Now, I did see it. Now, that... I don't recommend it, but I don't think there was anything about that falls into the classification of Hurley's hot again, he's being a jerk with the refs, and he didn't mind headbutting the ref. Right? He's claiming, I mean, it almost, is there such a thing as looking like an affectionate headbutt? I wasn't offended by it the way you're supposed to be offended whenever Danny Hurley does anything with the referees.
Right, but maybe that's because he has, with blunt force trauma, desensitized us to normal behavior.
That could be.
Yeah, it's not
like
that
Draymond
bad.
Green,
yes.
like Luka.
Yes.
Yeah, he might be right. That's very true.
In a vacuum.
Well, was anybody clamoring for a technical foul to be called on him for the headbutt?
And people have said it's a lesser ref, and I think it was your guy, Roger Ayers, who's been around forever.
Right.
Said a ref that maybe didn't get the bid as much or didn't understand the moment as much could have called a technical on him.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have. I mean, it seems unlikely, but it's also pretty risky.
Keith from Apple Valley, Dan ruined the microwave. Rudy's flagrants needs to behave. Wild Twins wins we crave. Wolves in 5. I mangled that one. Here's the other thing. I don't think it's ruined. It's just, there's the plate that you got to put back in it.
Yeah.
Unless somebody, I mean, is it? I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I have another latte I need to heat up. So this one, I will just put in like a minute. I'm going to monitor it in this case. I will see, but I'm going to find out if it's actually unworkable or people are just too lazy to put. If you're that desperate despite my reckless behavior, don't you just put the plate on there and hit the button and see if it goes around in a circle?
Find a way.
Or you find the other microwave that's like 10 feet away. Well, I'm like 25 feet away.
On the Wolves and Wild,
yes.
Here's one thing I'll throw into the mix.
Okay.
Longer term, I'm also very worried about the Wolves, just as championship contenders, more than I am the Wild. I feel like the Wild can continue to get closer to the Cup.
I don't disagree with that.
And I feel like, well, first of all, there's still Oklahoma City. There's still Boston. Wemby's about to take over the whole damn thing, including the Olympics with France in 2028.
Yes.
Wemby's coming for all the smoke, it appears. So that worries me long term as well. And I remember saying at the time when they lost to Dallas, that may have been the best chance this group had. As stupid as that sounds, the first year that they're there, because you just never know when you're going to get back there, and there's so many good teams.
Well, here's the key. The key is whether the president of basketball operations agrees with you, because I think that makes it likely. And again, it all depends on how it goes this year. If they make another run similar to the last two and even disappoint again against, let's say, Oklahoma City, whoever, I don't know that you necessarily break it up. But let's say they lose in 5 in the first round, or they're not even competitive, or let's just say they lose a first-round series we expect them to win, then I think I all along felt that he absolutely wanted to make another big move, because the suspicion was there were limits to what this group could do. But that's the key. Where does what does he think in that sense? Because it could very well be true. I still like to go with the cliche, as long as you have Anthony Edwards, you have a chip chair and a chance, especially if you get lucky with somebody emerging, some kid, do we have any first-round picks left, or are they all traded away?
No, we've got a few. I don't know if we have any this year. Juan Barreiro.
Yeah, somebody just becomes a monster overnight, or even 2 years down the road, that I think that's the X factor, as long as you still have Anthony Edwards. I think the elephant in the room for this team is always going to be, even in a league that's less about 2 stars and everybody else than it used to be, it's about depth. Can you win a championship if, on a regular basis, Julius Randle is supposed to be your number 2? Right. I still don't buy it. And that's no offense to him, because he can be very good. There aren't that many 2s out there. I still think Cat is closer to a 2 than Julius. Now, we don't have to relive that trade. You got 2 players. You got 2 virtual starters in return. But that's got to be into the equation. And the other, to your point, the Wild that we think Guerin has probably is going to have the opportunity for one more big trade that brings in another big piece. The Wolves don't have that as currently constituted. When I say trade, in Guerin's case, it'd probably be free agency, we think. The Wolves, I don't think, have any free agency big moves left to make. So if they make a big move, it would have to be a trade. And I honestly am convinced they will revisit on Giannis. Because he'll be healthier again. And and there may be some others they look at that become available, name players that have kind of worn out their welcome where they are. So I think all of those things are what makes it interesting to, I guess, sort of monitor where this thing goes and how it goes. I mean, we're at least in a position where both teams are in the postseason, which we said in this town is a luxury. It's assumed in many major sports markets, but not so much here. So at least you have a shot. Scott Foster would have called a technical on Hurley.
Ed Malloy, too.
Ed Malloy as well. It's not like your Starbucks cup was made of metal. It just needs a good cleaning. This station is so awesome that the bit can last basically all day. Dan, one more thing on the microwave deal. There's got to be an ambulance-chasing lawyer out there who will sue the microwave manufacturer on your behalf. I think you mentioned it didn't work the way it should have on the reheat setting. P.S. You might beat Commons 2 hours on this. Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I thought previously it's the old because it says reheat sensing. So I thought that means, well, it kind of gets a feeling, okay, this is pretty close to hot. We're shutting her down. And then I started the first segment of the show. I take the break at 9:12. I come back and I go, oh my God.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. I guess I'm lucky it wasn't a fire. I don't know. Could have. But although the cup's not flammable, is it? I didn't have the top on because you're not supposed to have the top on, obviously.
Right. You tried to follow that rule.
I at least
protocol.
attempt to abide by that, abide by that rule. All right, let's, we still have a little bit of time. Let me get to a couple more texts. Oh, regarding the Wolves' future, isn't the rumor that with the expansion, the Wolves might move to the easier Eastern Conference in a couple of years? That's 507-352-612 guy.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
we've talked about it. That won't be next year. That would probably be the year after if they indeed expand as expected. And that probably does have to be taken under consideration. They're not the only team lobbying for it. A lot of the national people believe the Wolves are close to the top of the list, and I think some of the reason is to the credit of the franchise in this case. Despite the frustrations we're talking about right now, they're viewed as a successful team, and the feeling is we got to get another good team in the East because we don't have enough. There's an imbalance, so let's move. I'm sure why nobody wants to move Memphis or New Orleans.
Right.
They go, well, we're looking for more balance.
Sure.
At least the Wolves have that going for them. They're viewed as a viable franchise, even if there's some frustration about where we are at this point. I mentioned one of the days, I think it was Friday. Have you seen the expansion numbers to get into the league, what the estimates are? If you want to own an NBA expansion team and get in, you want to be the Vegas owner or you want to be the Seattle owner and you want to come into the league.
I assume it's at least $7 billion.
It's I've read numbers anywhere from 7 to 10 billion. Now 10 sounds high, given that's what the Lakers are just purchased for, I think.
Correct.
Let's say it's 8 billion. Two teams, which I think is still likely. That's 16 billion divided by 30 existing teams.
Yeah, pretty good.
So for Mark Lowry and A-Rod, that's another $500 million that goes just to you. The players don't share in that. So my theory Friday was, if Glenn Taylor is still depressed about selling the team at a bargain basement price,
yes,
and then losing the arbitration battle, imagine how sick he must be now that the guys who bought the team from for what was it, 1.5, 1.6?
1.5.
I mean, 1/3 of that is they're already recouping 1/3 of that immediately. If indeed two teams come in, and let's just say again it's 8 billion. If it's 10, there's even more.
The other people that are sick to their stomachs are, I would imagine, the season ticket account executives who have to take all the cancellations when they keep jacking up the prices.
Well, yeah,
we're about to get $500 million.
Yeah,
we couldn't hold off on this.
I mean, that's a good chunk of change.
It's a nice deal,
isn't it?
I mean, 10 years ago, it could have bought the whole team.
You got to really have a lot of money and really want to get into this league.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
and nowadays, really, you have to have a couple of people with a lot of money.
You do probably.
And a group, and these equity firms that are buying all of these teams. There's groups now that are helping finance a lot of this stuff. They're making out okay.
Don't look now, but the NBA East is quickly catching up to the West. Well, I think the East is better, but okay, let's just ask it this way, and maybe ponder this over the break, and maybe we'll even get into this with Johnny Athletic, Dateline Dallas at 402 Bermuda Shorts. So if you put you put the Wolves in the Eastern Conference. Forget records. I'm just talking about you just have them in the Eastern Conference. How close to the top do you have them? Do you have them the best? In theory, I'm talking about. Forgetting about records. Do you have them right below Boston because the Boston story's been so absurd? Do you have them? What about? How about with the Knicks?
I have them right below Boston. I would have them right below Boston.
I think I would too.
And maybe we're sliding the Pistons because they're kind of new money.
By the way, again, I know you've always been a big Bickerstaff guy. That's an easy team to root for because I don't know how much of that game you got to see.
I saw none of it. I was on a plane.
You were on the plane, yeah. Again, we were missing pieces. I get that. I love their style of defense, man. The question on them is whether they have enough scoring and whether Cade Cunningham's going to be back healthy enough. But their relentlessness, he has got them. He has sold them on a kind of play that I think is pretty unique. They're not the only great defensive team, but the way they do it, the activity that they're involved in, the aggressiveness, I think they're a very, very easy team to root for. Top of the hour break. Johnny Athletic traveling to Dallas because it's the return of, we believe, Anthony Edwards. So we'll get to him on that and a couple of other controversial subjects, including whether it's a done deal that the Wolves would be moved east. I don't think we've talked about that with Johnny recently. Questions for him, 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. And if you ask him any microwave-related questions, I'm not sure we're going to get anywhere, but you can try.